All right.
Because Star Wars is kind of overrated, so I'll probably talk about it.
Hey
It is.
everybody, welcome to the Pixel Vision podcast. That's a good way to start it. Star Wars is totally overrated. Like no one's gonna listen to us now. This is
Yeah,
episode
there goes those
4.
last few listeners.
Yeah, exactly. So this is episode 4 where we're gonna be talking about the underrated and overrated games that we believe are out there, along with what were we gonna talk about again too? Oh, games
Some
that
guilty
were
pleasure
some
games.
guilty
Games
pleasure
that
games. Yeah.
we acknowledge their suckiness, but we like them nonetheless.
Yeah. So let's start with the overrated. I know that's something that we really want to talk about, especially you, Mark. That's definitely something you want to do.
Because I skew negative? No, not, I don't know.
I don't know. You're such a negative Nancy. I think you're right. You're a hipster. I imagine you drinking the blue Pat's Ribbon beer, and you're always wearing vinyl T-shirts, probably, and or
What,
not
vinyl
vinyl, not vinyl.
I
Band
buy
t-shirts.
vinyl and you wear the flannel.
Vinyl. Yes. You know what? The reason why I said vinyl is because I have been thinking about buying a vinyl player all week, or for the
Okay.
past week. So, yeah.
Yeah, we
Sweet.
have one here, so maybe you're right about that hipster theory.
And you know what? Your profile picture has you wearing. Oh my gosh! You know what? I think you are a hipster.
What is it? What am I wearing?
You're wearing your long sleeve there. You can't see
Which
your
one?
picture.
No.
Oh, the
Uh,
Skype picture.
Oh, I don't even remember what it is. That's weird.
it doesn't matter. So, so
Visual humor for the audio
yeah,
show. That
yeah,
that'll
yeah,
go well.
exactly. So, all right, let's talk about overrated. What are some of the most overrated, either a single game or series that we know of? Mark, I want to start with you because I know you just have a list waiting for us.
Well, I have sort of two different lists. I have a list on Wikipedia of the top selling franchises of all time. Um, and then oh, actually, yeah, a lot of the ones that I personally feel are overrated are probably on this list anyways. But I also sort of have a mental list of games that I just don't really understand the hype about. Like I've said before, I prefer Xbox as my like console of choice, but I have never ever cared about Gears of War or Halo, which are like their two biggest franchises. You know, like Halo's like the flagship series of the entire brand, and I don't know, I just don't get the hype about it. And I acknowledge that I haven't played many of the Halos, but I think I played the first one when they redid it last generation, and I played the third one and Reach when they were both free games. And I just don't.
Did you ever have a regular Xbox, the first one?
I did, but only like towards the end of the generation. Actually, it was
Okay.
I didn't even buy it till the 360 had already come out, and I was just
Mm.
looking to get like a couple of those games that I had missed before. But yeah, I mean, I missed the boat with like playing with other people on like LAN parties and split screen, and I'm
Mm.
sure that's a lot of the appeal. But
Yeah, actually, you know what? For both Gears of War and Halo, I will. Gears of War, I've heard people say it's had a great story. I personally, I don't
it's
think
a
it was the
bunch of
best.
douchebags. How can it be a good
Yeah,
story?
well, yeah. I mean, I can actually see
It's
that too.
for like roided up idiots just going around stomping on alien heads. That is not interesting to me. That is sixth grade material. I don't get it.
That's I'll agree with that too. But I mean, that I think that's why I enjoyed this series. So I can't say it's necessarily a series either, because like Halo 2, I really love the multiplayer on that, and then Halo, I want to say ODST maybe, or maybe there's another one, but yeah, I kind of agree with you. I think most series in general don't really, they can't just, they never held me for too long. Yeah, there's a couple of games that I really liked about them, but I never stayed with it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so the reason why I asked Mark if he had an original Xbox was I was, as I've talked about, I'm a Nintendo, guy, and so I had the GameCube during that generation, but then once Halo came out and everyone at school was playing Halo, I bought an Xbox just for Halo, and that was I think the only game I had for about a year and a half.
Holy crap.
But we'd show up at each other's house, like eight of us, and play. I don't know, two Xboxes or three or four if we could get four Xboxes and play from like 8 p.m. till 8 in the morning, and just it was like it was kind of the beginning of console, like over 4 players. Like GoldenEye and Perfect Dark and stuff were great, but I mean, 4 players kind of got old after a while. And then once you could play 4 on 4 against your friends in the same household, like
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was great.
I'm fully aware of its place. I understand its importance in that respect, but like I'll beat this dead horse over and over on this show. But like as I said before, I play for story, right? So
Well,
even but
Halo's got
even
all
if
the
I
books and everything.
what? Yeah, well
Sorry.
that's what I'm talking. That's kind of what I'm getting at though. Is it has all these books and people tell me it has this great story and it's got all this all these enriching worlds and characters and a deep history of events that you can like really like dive into if you want to. And that's all cool. I like some series that do all that stuff too. But as games, as standalone games, I don't get the feeling like they're good stories, and people keep insisting that they are, and I just don't get it. I think the people that tell me they're good stories are the people that have read all the novels. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Are either of you guys well versed enough in the series to tell me I'm wrong and to shut up?
well, I mean, it's all a matter of opinion, but no, I'm not, I never like that with certain games where it's like, oh, to understand all this, you have to buy the books, and it's like what? It's just like with Destiny, Destiny, its story you had to actually search for online. Like you would unlock these things and it'd go, if you want to know about the story, go online and go here. I'm like, no, fuck that. Why don't you just put it into the game? You spent half a freaking $1 billion making this damn thing, and you're gonna make me leave the game to go figure out what's actually going on. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not really like
It's like somebody who recommends it's like somebody who recommends a show on Netflix and they're like, season 3 finale, it gets really good. Just get to the season 3 finale. It's like, well, what about everything else before that?
I can't remember what, someone did that exact thing to me. Oh, you know what? You guys are probably gonna hate me for saying this. Most people do. I didn't care for Breaking Bad.
What
You
are you
didn't?
crazy?
Like,
Yes.
was it the? I've heard a very popular criticism is like, and I understand it and relate to it, is it's kind of you always expect something terrible is going to happen, and it's always like terrible people, and so it doesn't
Uh,
have a lot of, I guess,
may,
diversity to it.
maybe it's because everybody had already seen the entire thing, and they just put it on this pedestal and said it's the greatest thing that has ever been made. Is greater than sliced bread, is better than Jesus. And I'm just like, okay. And then and,
Slice
and,
bread.
and then
Walter White is the new savior.
yeah. Uh,
That's the pinnacle of our idols in the world. Sliced bread, Jesus Christ, and Breaking Bad.
yeah.
Those are the big three.
The big three. And well, but it's just I got up to 2 seasons and it couldn't hold me, and I was like,
Mm.
Hmm.
and I just stopped watching it. But I mean, I'm not gonna say it's terrible either. I guess maybe I just wasn't seeing it as everybody else did.
Mm.
That's why
See, that's
that's why I kind
crazy.
of just don't like oversell a show to people when they ask me. Like some people say, what show do you recommend? And I'll tell them like I really like the new Battlestar Galactica and The Wire, and they go, well, why do you like it? I go, I just do. You're just gonna have to watch it and find out. That's all I can really tell them. I don't want to ruin, because people and that's another thing too. A lot of people ruin certain parts about Breaking Bad with me. So when it did happen, I guess I wasn't really shocked or taken. I just wasn't taken back by
Hmm.
it. Like, and that's I guess what made the show good.
Hmm.
It's kind of like Sons of Anarchy. I had that same reaction when you would see a main character die, or just somebody would say a certain thing in the show. If you take that away, I mean, it just takes away what's great about the show. So maybe that's what happened to me.
Well, going back to
Yeah.
video games, with Halo, like I can see how playing the later games could make it seem very overrated. Because to me, the first game really made it. I know the second one, it was more successful than the first one, even more so. But like I love the first one, played it hundreds of hours with my friends and stuff, and by myself for co-op and all
Hundreds.
that. Oh yeah, we played so much Halo. I mean, because and so what I'm getting at is that it was the first console shooter that um in that generation of the PlayStation 2, GameCube, and original Xbox of like, hey, like this is a viable option for like, PC gamers, because at the time I was playing Counter-Strike and Unreal Tournament and stuff and Half-Life, and I wanted my friends to play that, but of course none of them had gaming computers, and so when I found out, or when we found out that this existed and everyone, enjoyed it, and the controls were just phenomenal for the time.
Hmm.
It kind of proved that like development studios could make this really polished game that gamers will like. And then I think they tried to answer too many demands with the second one and third, and like they just kept adding more and more, and it became, to me, a little convoluted and stuff with the different power ups and giant maps and giant things. I like kind of like keeping it small,
Yeah,
old school boarding action. That
I
was
think the
awesome.
oh, I'm sorry. I think the
Very good.
longer a series goes on, the more likely it is to just start sucking. That's why I'm kind of hesitant for a sequel for The Last of Us to ever come out because
Yeah.
I mean the ending to that game is really like special, and it's so different than like a typical video game ending that I
It's,
think
it's, it's very bittersweet.
yeah, and I think any new content sort of undercuts that ending. Even
Mm.
even though I know that Naughty Dog will go out and probably blow it out of the park, knock it out of the park. Whoops. uh, and blow it out of the park, blow it in the back alley, and
Yeah.
like I'm sure a sequel will be great, and I'm pretty sure it's gonna come out regardless. But if if Robin Williams came back as the genie and gave me three wishes,
Mhm.
one of them would be unlimited
No,
wishes, of course, but another one would be
now,
that a
now you
sequel
made me sad.
never comes out.
Well, Mark, I'm glad you brought up The Last of Us, because this last weekend, a video game store here was doing like a 50% off used games, and I almost picked it up, but I
What?
Whoa,
decided
whoa, it's
not.
used? Like someone like gave it away?
Yeah.
Is that wait? I don't understand. Like what? No.
Wait,
Yeah.
why did you 50% off
Well,
that?
and I
How much
mean,
was it?
well,
$50?
what's that?
How much was it at that point? You should have got it.
So I would have been able to pick it up for $15. Um,
Uh,
so it wasn't like super ridiculously cheap or anything, but it was cheaper than I could find anywhere else in my town. But the reason why I didn't get it was I don't know. I played the Uncharted 2 and a tiny bit of Uncharted 1, and I enjoyed Uncharted 2 quite a bit, but
uh
I kind of, after I was done, I was like, I don't know if I want to go back. And even at my local GameStop, they had Uncharted 3 for like $5 used, and I almost picked it up, but I was like, it just looks like more of the same, of like, instead of climbing an icy wall, I'm going to be climbing, a plane's cargo net or something. And
Yeah, it's
um,
funny. I know you kind of alluded before the show to the fact that you're going to bring up Uncharted as maybe an overrated nomination, and I'm playing them right now. My girlfriend and I we both caved and gave each other one early Christmas gift each. So I gave her Super Smash Brothers for 3DS, and she gave me the Uncharted trilogy for PS4. And just
nice.
today, I ended up finishing the first game, and I started the second one. And the first game, it's aged better than I thought, but it's lacking a lot, especially compared to the other two. Like there's just like no set pieces in it. It was kind of very like generic almost.
Mm,
It's interesting to go back and play it again. I remember even at the time when I originally played it years ago, it was after the second one had already come out, and I heard how great the second one was, and I just played the first one just to do the series, chronologically.
hmm
But the second one I do think is miles away better than the first one. And then the third one, I think you're right, is more awesomeness if you like the second one. But if you're
hmm
someone who wasn't blown away by like the cinematic aspect of Uncharted, because I think that's what they do best. If you're not
Yeah, they do that really well. Yeah.
yeah, like the camera angles and just the way the action unfolds. I don't know. And the
hmm
that game's really character driven, even though they're kind of like not really believable at all times because Nathan Drake as a character is like he's like wisecracking, and he's obviously got like a bunch of plot armor like the protagonist of every story ever. He's just basically invincible against like thousands of people per game, and you're supposed
hmm
to take him as like a good guy, but he's killed more people than any bad guy in the history of the series, and like so it's not flawless. But yeah, I'll fanboy for Naughty Dog on every episode of this show if you guys allow it.
Are they pretty similar, would you say, or is does
Oh,
Last of Us stray pretty far? Like,
That
introducing new elements?
that's what I was gonna say. Is I don't think they're very similar. I mean, they're both third
Okay.
person games. In both, you play like well, I mean, Nathan and Joel are very different, but they're
Mm.
both very lovable characters, just in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
The Last of Us is very dreary. It's very moody. Like even the color palette of Uncharted, it's like these vibrant, like lush jungles, and the desert sequences are like these like beautiful like golden like desert dunes and all that stuff. And then you play The
Mm-hmm.
Last of Us, and everything's like darkish gray, blue. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's all set. The tone's
Like,
totally different. The
is the
gameplay is
game?
different.
Sorry.
Yeah. Is that you're gonna ask about the gameplay?
Yeah, yeah.
It is different because in Uncharted you're an action hero. You're Indiana Jones, you know. In The Last
Mm-hmm.
of Us, you're a 50-year-old dude like mourning the loss of a loved one in like a post-apocalyptic world where like everyone's just out to survive another day and people are just like killing each other for like whatever they might have in their pockets, and then they only find that there's nothing in their pockets and the kill was for nothing, but they go on not caring. It's like that type
Mm-hmm.
of world, you know. It's but yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, The Last of Us is much more stealth based,
Mm-hmm.
and all, of course they have like those the infected, which are basically zombies, but it's a fungal infection, so they kind of sell it a little differently than like the brain eating like flesh eating type.
Mm-hmm.
But
Okay.
yeah, just play
Is
it.
it? Have you've played through it one or two times or multiple times?
The Last of Us,
Yeah,
7 times.
seven. So it like is that because you enjoy it so much, or does the game reward you each time? Or
Kind of both.
It's yeah, it's a little bit of both.
oh,
I
okay.
played it on the hardest difficulty that it comes with out of the box,
Mm.
and then there was like a $5 DLC where you get like another difficulty. So I beat which is like the hardest of all of them. So I beat it on that one, and then there's a trophy to beat it on that one twice. So I did that again.
Ooh,
um,
the trophies.
well, yeah, I don't
Ooh.
typically care about trophies, but with this one game, I
No,
was
you
like.
love them.
Well, yeah, I love achievements. Fuck trophies.
Uh,
If you're not gonna give me a number, I don't care. But that's for another episode that we had to postpone, and here we are.
yeah,
Mm.
that's sort of my fault, but yeah. Anyways, so one thing I've been noticing about these series as they become a little overrated. Have you noticed that their campaigns constantly become shorter?
The story modes
What?
for
Mm.
like give some examples,
I mean,
because for Halo I haven't played the new one.
from
Skiers.
what I hear, the new one was extremely short. I
Oh,
think it
okay.
was like 5 or 6 hours, maybe.
Hmm.
When
Mm.
normally, they're. I mean, well, maybe at the same time, maybe games in general are just getting shorter. Or I'm just getting too old. I don't know.
Well, some are and some aren't. I mean, they're going in two different directions. You know, like even the new Tomb Raider. The last Tomb Raider was pretty linear, and this new one like opens it up a lot more. And it's not exactly a sandbox world. I think you still go from like big area to big area with loading screens in between,
Mm-hmm.
but those areas are much bigger than the recent reboot. If you guys played that one.
Well, I'm getting an Xbox One for Christmas for my son. For my son.
Ooh.
Mm. Yeah,
Yeah,
I was watching some Let's Plays online of it, but I found out that I guess it's releasing on Xbox first and then PS4 later
yeah, another next year. This time next year, they
next
bought
year.
like
Mm.
they made out a deal to get like a year of exclusivity with them, which
And
is
Mm.
so old fashioned. They're like third party on an
Mm-hmm.
exclusive console. That's so like SNES era, you know,
yeah,
like
and going back to what you're saying before with The Last of Us, Mark, I kind of have that fear with every good game that I play that they're gonna keep,
just
you know,
milk it.
yeah, they're just gonna keep milking it until it's gone.
Not
I mean,
Valve.
they did that to. Well, yeah, Valve just says we're gonna give you two, and that's it. Even if we
Well,
don't finish the story, that's all you
yeah.
get.
Which
Well,
one?
that's
I didn't
kind
hear you. What'd you
Just
say?
for Valve,
Valve for like
Oh,
Half-Life
Valve.
2
Yeah,
Half Life
yeah,
Two, Left
or
4
Half-Life
Dead.
3, I guess.
yeah.
Yeah,
People for them, people are clamoring for more, and they refuse.
yeah, they're like,
Yeah, and
no,
like
we're.
that's kind of what I was going to touch on is with the recent announcement and footage of Star Fox Zero, and tons of criticism is being thrown at it, and it's kind of like for the past 10 years, everyone's kind of really demanded and wanted a new Star Fox because they have such great memories of it. But
Yeah,
then now
I
that
did for
they're
sure.
and now they're redoing it and everyone's just not happy with it, and it's kind of like was I don't know, it's almost like older games, or not older games, I guess games that were in earlier generations, they don't really keep up with the time, and kind of with like Half-Life, I think Gabe Newell came out saying like 6 or 8 months ago, saying how he's not sure, when that project will be finished or if it will, because he's said that a lot of the employees aren't really interested in working on such a traditional concept, something
Uh-huh.
along those lines. And so I almost think that they're having very good forethought, because Nintendo's kind of they're shooting themselves in the foot by answering their fans with this new Star Fox, because everyone's just not happy with it. Nobody seems to like the motion controls they're implementing. They don't think it looks good enough, but it looks like a Star Fox game. And so maybe Star Fox was great back then, but now it's, our in hindsight we're just seeing it in through rose colored glasses, and it's kind of a bit of an overrated idea to think that that could succeed today.
Well,
Hmm.
that's partly what makes, like, looking at this list of the best-selling games ever, with with 523.6 million copies sold. Mario as like a franchise has the most, and then like the Super Mario like
Mm,
subdivision of those has like 300 million of those, and so on.
mm-hmm,
Mario Kart and all those, like, that's what makes that so remarkable, is that Mario has remained timeless somehow.
mm-hmm,
And like Mario's one series I thought about before we did this episode, where I was like, is it overrated? Is it underrated? And I guess it's exactly where it deserves to be. Is kind of where I landed on it, is because I don't love Mario like a lot of people do, because I didn't really grow up with a Nintendo even as a young kid anyway. So it's just not, there's no nostalgia there, and there's no like coming of age with Mario and Luigi and Bowser and all those characters for me. But
mm-hmm,
I see what Nintendo does with that whole brand, and the way it stretches it out into like the sports and the Mario parties and all the different types of Marios that they have, and there are really too many to even name. But and I don't know, I think they do deserve like credit, and I would say that that one's not overrated. If we're
mm,
talking overrated, underrated, I would say that one deserves the credit it gets, even though it's not like a personal favorite of mine. Which,
mm-hmm. Yeah, I went through a phase where I thought I kind of got sick of them, because I grew up with the Nintendo Land, Super Nintendo, 64, GameCube, and all that. And I think by the time Sunshine came out, I was just like, what? Like, why? I'm doing the same thing. I'm going around collecting, red coins or whatever, and platforming, and it's different than the Mario 64 that I'd played, a few years before. But it was really similar to me, so I kind of got frustrated and was over it. But then I was reintroduced then to the new Super Mario Bros. On the Wii a few years later, and when you play the first few worlds, or the first world, I guess, it is a lot of the same. But then as you progress and progress, you kind of realize that they know that they're working with such limited resources with how the game, all the elements within a Mario 2D side scroller, and they do some really great ingenious things that you like until you get into the later levels. It's almost like they don't want to scare their kind of younger audience, or um, more novice level game players, and then they put it seems like they put way more effort into level design, character design, and stuff than I don't know their competitors these days.
yeah,
If I may be
they
so
commit
bold.
to like gameplay and unique gameplay mechanics, and when everyone else
Mm-hmm.
is like just trying to be the prettiest, and maybe like become more like the movies, which
Yeah,
is,
they're
to
going
me,
out their
that's
name alone now.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I love the types of games that sort of try to rival like a good like movie story. That's why I like The Last of Us, because it's like one of my favorite stories I've ever read or seen or played. Whatever
Mm.
format it is, The Last of Us it holds up in my opinion. And Nintendo never really tries to do that stuff, except actually it's a good uh, series to bring up is the Zelda series because I haven't played almost any of it, which
Hmm.
sounds weird to be a lifelong gamer and barely have touched Zelda. But maybe you guys
Oh, we
can.
all want to touch Zelda.
Did you guys hear about Linkle?
Linkle.
Maybe
Winkle,
now we bring up
what is that?
it's the girl Link. They just announced it this past Friday on their Nintendo Direct. It's going to be a new character you can play in the Hyrule Warriors. And so
Oh,
she's
okay.
basically a girl who looks like Link with the green tunic, blonde hair, and she has bows and arrows that she fights with and does a spinning kick instead of a
That
spinning sword slash.
that idea is fine and cool, but that name is terrible.
Yeah, the name. I was watching it with my girlfriend. I kind of turned to her and I was like, "What is Nintendo thinking?" Like,
Linkle. That's like when they came out and they're like, our new console, the Wii U. It's like Wii
Yeah.
U.
Yeah,
yeah,
that was pretty bad. Well, it's almost the same thing with Xbox One.
Oh yeah, I
Everyone,
know. It's like
Xbox One's pretty bad.
yeah, it's like PlayStation's been moving forward with their numbers for so long, and now like Xbox One sounds like you're taking a step back according to Sony's format. You know, it's
yeah.
like so goofy.
Yeah.
I can't remember what show I was watching, but they said, you want to check out the Xbox 360? He goes, Xbox 360, what happened to the other 359? Oh, oh boy. Oh,
um,
360. Oh, Microsoft, what are you doing?
Wait, Tony, you
maybe,
haven't? I don't think have you chimed in with any
I've been trying to think
overrated?
about it. I mean, you guys are pretty much right on all of them, with Gears of
We know.
War, Assassin's Creed, Call of Duty, all these games. They go they just go too far. But I don't. I mean, the series that I've been thinking about lately aren't really overrated or underrated. I think they're doing just right. Like right now, StarCraft. I just beat the new one, and it pretty much kind of ended the series, and I'm kind of sad and happy with it, with all
Mm.
the expansions that come out and everything that they did. I was a little disappointed with the ending. I thought a little differently of it, but overall, I did enjoy it. I've always liked the Diablo series. Three actually got a lot of crap, mainly because they're trying to appeal more to consoles than PCs, but I still love the story for it and all the gameplay, and it was just still a fun game to play. Like right now, I'm playing Fallout 4. Fallout 4, for the first week, had so much crap put on it, and at first I was thinking, why? What's wrong? And a lot of it was from the PC community talking about how they just thought it was gonna look better. I'm like, other than the looks, like, do you like the game? Is it fun? You mean you get to modify and do? Well, yeah, but the looks of it, then I don't care about your opinion, because if you're
well,
just
but
basing it
they'd
off the
spend
looks,
thousands on their PC that they want
I
to
guess.
show.
Yeah,
I don't know. That's the only thing I could think that maybe they're upset about.
I mean, I mean, overall, I just think a game is gonna sooner. I mean, the more games you come out with the series and everything like that, sooner or later it's just gonna start becoming terrible. Especially with games like Assassin's Creed, where I don't even think they know what they're doing anymore. I think they
Well,
just wrote themselves into a corner and just said, "Oh crap, what do we do now?"
well, I wanted to ask you about that games in that series specifically because you're the only one among us uh, that has played Syndicate. And when I read a bunch of reviews after the embargo broke, people like a lot of people seem to think it's the best one in years. It's not like
Uh,
unanimously praised, but it seemed like it got a lot of love for sort of like I've heard several different outlets say it's the best one since two, which is or two or Brotherhood, depending on where you read,
uh,
and those are like the last two really good ones in the series. So
for me, I think the best one in the series was Black Flag. That one was amazing. It tried something new. I liked the new character, and I also like the fact that they got rid of the main guy Desmond because he was always annoying to me. With this one though, I did like what they did with the twins. I really enjoyed the characters out of those two. As for gameplay, I wouldn't say it changed too much. It kind of actually went backwards compared to Black Flag. The only thing that was really new to me, well, with the mechanics, they did climb a little bit faster.
yeah, they do that zip line thing or
Yeah, and
whatever.
I was gonna say that they had the zip line, and what was really cool is that it was way more into the era that you were in than outside of it. In fact, everything outside was just a few cutscenes, and that
Hmm.
was it. So I think that's what kind of made a lot of people happy, is because they didn't have to stop, having fun with the assassins and going to the future assassins who really just don't do anything but talk.
Yeah,
So
they all just work in offices now, and
yes,
that's not even a joke.
exactly. We're assassinating them through hacks. Yeah,
Oh
they're
wait,
anonymous.
but it's still very new, so anybody who's listening doesn't want it spoiled, and I certainly don't want it spoiled either because I probably won't play it for a few more months. But knowing that I like the series for its story and for like all of the backstory, like the first civilization and the pieces of Eden and all that stuff, more than just Assassins versus Templars, like, am I gonna give a shit about this one?
They talk about the piece of Eden a bit in there, mostly with the girl and the boy twin. He wants to kill Templars more.
Boy and girl.
Yeah, boy and girl. Yeah, man
How
and
old are
woman.
they? 12?
Whatever. Whatever. Anyways, I think I I don't know. I don't want to oversell it towards you, but I actually don't want to undersell it either. To me, if you have enjoyed the series before, it's definitely going in the right direction. I think. I don't think it's like the best one that's come out in years, but it's
Mhm.
certainly better than what's been out before.
Yeah.
Especially from what I heard from Rogue and what was the last one, Unity.
Unity.
This one definitely had a better start to it. Yeah, I mean, I would definitely recommend it if you are a fan of the series for sure.
Hmm. Yeah. For some reason, I don't know why. Maybe it's mental illness. I do still consider myself a fan. So,
Well, I mean,
I,
well, and let's kind of go into that next. I mean, like you said, a mental ill. I mean, you want to hate the game, and you should hate the game, but of course, damn it, you love it so much. And I have a few of those. To be honest, I think Call of Duty is one of the most overrated games of all time, and yet I still like to play it online with friends.
do you already have Black Ops 3?
No. I'm
Oh,
thinking about getting it for the PlayStation 4 because advanced, like basically uh, all the Call of Duty developers, they gave up on PC for some reason. I don't know why, but it always does terrible on PC now. They never patch it right. They never stop the hackers.
hmm.
It never get it for. I mean, I'm saying this to people out there who may be listening. Never get a Call of Duty game on PC. It's just a waste. Get it on PS4 because you're guaranteed to get at least a good game going with how many PS4 users there are out there.
Yeah. Hmm.
And of course, I actually did say this in our Halloween special. One game that I just like it for some reason, mainly because of the story and the gameplay was fun. Was Jericho.
Oh
I
yeah. Oh
understand.
yeah.
I
That's
understand.
perfect.
I totally understand why people hate that game. I 100% agree with them when they say they hate it. I'm like, yeah, that was terrible, but I still like the game. I don't. Well, I'm a Clive Barker fan. First off, I've always liked his writing style. He definitely takes things in a different approach, especially from how games normally are, which he's usually, and it's kind of like a bit like The Last of Us is very gritty, dark, and
Hmm.
and you
Yeah, I
don't
never
know what
got
to
to play it.
expect.
I
Well,
never got to play that one. Sadly, I try to play. It's because it's a horror game, right?
yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it is. Yeah. Yeah. I had already seen it on the shelves for years, but I never picked
The
it
the
up.
look you see the look of it was kind of terrible. Like they kept redoing certain enemies. It just felt like you're almost playing like a Nintendo game. You know how you go to level 3 and it's just the characters from level 2, but instead of purple, they're yellow.
Oh
And
Jesus.
yeah, I mean they did change up some things, but like I said, it was the story that really drew me in, and they ended it as if it was going to be a sequel or a trilogy.
Oh, I
So
never enjoyed
yeah,
that.
that's what always sucks. That's why I never like that with video games, especially. It's like, you know what, just end it, and you can leave something open if you need to, but you really need to just close the game
Hmm.
every time. That's just how I feel. Unless, of course, it's like Call of Duty or something like that, where even though it's a terrible game, people are gonna buy it no matter what. I mean, crap, nobody buys Call of Duty anymore for the campaign. I remember one time every time I played somebody online, I went into their profile just to see if they got the achievement or trophy. And nobody ever had more than sometimes in like 20 or 30 because they just like prestiged.
I think the last time people played the story a lot were probably Modern Warfare 2, and that's because of all the hype surrounding that mission when you go and you like go undercover with the terrorist group and you go and shoot up the airport and kill all the innocent
spoilers,
people.
dude! Oh my gosh!
No, we've got to have. What is the statute of limitations on the like? Because
isn't it supposed to be like 5 or 6 years?
Is it? Jesus.
Or something
it's the
like
age
that?
of the internet, and everyone's got Netflix and Amazon Prime and Hulu. Really, the spoiler rule for like movies and stuff should be, I don't know, 2 years, 3 years maybe at the most.
You know what though? But thanks to the internet, to be honest, I have a guilty pleasure for liking any video game at this point.
Well, yeah.
Seriously, like I don't know.
Thanks to the internet?
Well, because like no matter where you go, everybody goes the game sucks. So you'll see like 5 pages of the game sucks, and then one guy like I thought it was all right, and then everybody gangs up on that person.
How do you think it feels being a Wii U owner?
Oh, what are you guys talking about? You guys don't even go on the internet. Shut up, Cole. Cole, get in your corner. Cole, get in your corner.
Are they still using those mini discs?
Yeah. Wear your dunce cap, Cole, and get in the corner right now. No,
I mean, I wanted to I'm looking at the Metacritic ranking of like Wii U games, and I mean it's just got like game after game after game that's all ranked really high, but then
that's true.
I don't know. Then it's just people.
Well, Nintendo.
The gaming community, I don't know.
Nintendo has a really dedicated fan base. They really do, and I think they know that. That's why they try to appeal to their fans as much as possible. But then you got so many people that just hate Nintendo for some odd reason because maybe it's just so old and retro to like Nintendo or some crap like that. And Nintendo tried to appeal to I would say more family and more family friendly and kids a bit, or at least or maybe young adults. I mean I don't know, but you know if there's no blood and killing and somebody's not getting molested, you know, then people don't like it for some reason.
Yeah, well, which is like that's like I've been playing a lot of Splatoon, and Splatoon I don't even know if I could go back and play other first person shooters or third person shooters online, because Splatoon offers you so much variety in gameplay because you can swim up the walls and all that and stuff. And I mean it's probably has the steepest learning curve of any online action game that I've played, you know, including playing like Halo and Counter-Strike and Call of Duty and Battlefield and all of that. But it's just sad that, I don't know, not a large population of the gamers in America are playing it, because I think it could be pretty massive and popular if everyone kind of gave it a shot.
I think it definitely appeals more to the Japanese audience, though. Isn't it huge over there? I heard.
Well, yeah, they're mixing, you know, small kids with guns and like tentacle porn. So they make the squid, they made the squid kids, and then there you go.
Then when I play, I mean, it's definitely that's the case, because I was playing today, and I mean, it doesn't matter if I'm playing in the morning, afternoon here, or late at night. Almost 50%, if not 80% of the players are all Japanese, like because they all have their Japanese names in there, so you know that they're in Japan because you have to have a Japanese Wii U in order to use the Japanese alphabet sets. So I mean that's kind of frustrating, and to me though it's almost if you were to ask me what my opinion on that is, I think that a lot of people are, you know, that do own the Wii U are getting it for their kids and stuff, and they're getting in there and they're just immediately shut down, you know, by the extreme competitive nature the game possesses. Even though, I mean, that's the strange thing, is it's a Nintendo game that's, you know, supposed to look friendly and be all friendly, but it's like you get in there and if you don't know what you're doing.
Is it a ranking system?
There is a ranking system, but like for instance I started completely over as level 1 this week just for fun because I wanted to have 2 characters, and so I was, you know, in there with new players, and I was trying to play as nicely as possible. Like they even if they tried shooting me, I could kind of maneuver around them using, you know, my squid kid techniques. And so like I was kind of trying to be nice, but there's no voice chat, so there's no community in there. People kind of giving you pointers and things like that. So you're in it on your own. The game gives you these great tips, but they give you like a couple, as you go talk to the characters in the little plaza area, and they're great. But like you got to have a great understanding of the game to really utilize the tips. So I think that's kind of scaring a lot of the new players away from playing online.
Yeah, I've noticed that a lot with games now. They have a ranking system, and then they, of course, reward those who have the higher rank, which can shut down the lower ranks.
Mm.
I've been playing Overwatch, the new Blizzard game, well, at least the beta of it, and I like that because there is no ranking system really. I mean, there kind of is, but overall, everybody gets the same stuff for whatever character you pick. Well, not. I mean, if two people pick that same character, no matter what, you have the same thing. You're just gonna have to learn how to use that character the right way.
Mm.
And it just kind of sucks nowadays, like I said, because it just feels like if you just like any video game that comes out now, you're a complete idiot. Why would you ever like
Like
that?
you're saying there's haters
Well,
that
because
will
that's
kind
that's
of
that's
tell
just
you
the
you're
internet
wrong.
in
Is what you're saying?
general. Yeah, the internet in general is just people just wanting to bash whatever it is out there and make a joke about it. And I just if that I've been actually avoiding the internet more and more every day now. It's actually making me a lot happier as a person, to be honest. Really, after moving, getting a new job and avoiding the internet, and just talking to close friends and people I just know, I'm like, wow,
Mm.
I should have kept doing this instead of
Mm.
actually going to forums and actually looking in comment sections that hey, maybe this will be really good and insightful. Nope, I was wrong. Now I hate this game and I don't even know why I hate it. And
But
that's what sucks.
yeah, well, that's why I've just never relied on any of that stuff. Like I feel
Yeah.
bad for. I mean, not that you're saying you do either, but because we
Well,
can read that stuff and not rely on it. But I think there are people who need to read the YouTube comments or need to read reviews about games or just Reddit posts about games, Tumblrs about games,
yeah.
and like I'm lucky enough that I write about games a lot, and I'm fortunate enough to be able to afford a lot of the games that I want. So I don't need to rely on these like terrible people's opinions, basically. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can go out and learn for myself, or it also just requires a bit of like, if you are reading a lot of crap about that game, like consider the perspective of that person. Like, if it's something as simple as like on Reddit, like you can look at their post history, and if they just go around just bashing everything all day because they're at home or whatever, and maybe they're just bored, then then that person's opinion no longer needs to hold any weight in your mind.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I mean, I try to go to certain reviewers, like people I know, that can just give me a good description of the game if that's something that I'll like. I don't really care about the score or what their opinions are on it. I just like the fact that they're telling me exactly what the game is, and then I can just make that decision on my own. And now we have so much gameplay footage going out there. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's a gameplay footage being uploaded into YouTube like literally every second, which is crazy
Yeah.
if you think about it. Um, so with overrated, I mean, what do we when it comes to something that's overrated? I mean, I'm trying to think about how it what would make a like with these certain games like Call of Duty and Halo. What do we think they could do to get themselves out of that rut?
Well, it won't directly answer that question that you've asked, but it sort of relates to it. Apparently, the new Black Ops 3 is like super meta. Have you guys heard about this?
No.
Mm.
You haven't heard of like what the story like talks about? Like
Mm-mm.
basically, I don't know all the details, and a lot of this will be wrong, but it's generally like I think I'm getting like the broad strokes right. It's some sort of like AI is infecting like whatever, like the military's infrastructure. So who knows what stupid like buzzwords they're using,
Terminator
but
style, basically. Yeah.
yeah,
Judgment
like some
Day.
sort of AI. It's not an awakened AI, not like Skynet, but or I don't know, maybe it is. Who knows? But it's not humanoid AI. It's more just like in the within a computer, within like the system. It's all futuristic, like cyberpunk bullshit. But so who knows? But
I mean, that seems what Black Ops was leaning
well, no,
towards.
but well, yeah, that's what they were building towards. But now this one apparently, like they're using that backdrop to sort of criticize their own like existence, basically. Not that they're criticizing themselves, like Treyarch isn't. I think Treyarch is sort of criticizing maybe Activision and more certainly just like the fans at large. Basically, the whole game is about this AI that's ever expanding and it has its own brain, and they try to fight it off, but the AI overrules them, and um, basically it's supposed to all be like a metaphor for like the general like public opinion on the games, is how like maybe Treyarch wants to do something else and sort of go out on a limb with the games, but it's built into our brains what Call of Duty is supposed to be. And even though people bash it for being the same thing every year, if it changed itself too much, they would probably hate that even more and just complain about that instead. And
That's
like
kind of
it's all about like how the fans and how the publishers and just the pressures of making a multi-billion dollar game, maybe not multi-billion, multi-million dollar game, like just how those pressures like cave in on them as a developer, and basically like the AI is just the public opinion like shifting the game to what it wants to be rather than what Treyarch might want it to be this time, you know.
hmm,
Which if I haven't played it, but that's what I read. It was on
that's pretty
Vice. If
interesting.
anybody wants to read about it, yeah,
Well,
if
I mean,
that's
I'm
true, I would love to play that sometime because
so
that sounds awesome.
so after I just got done talking about how Call of Duty is shit and everything like that, I guarantee you I'm gonna buy Black Ops 3 so I can play it online. I'm just one of those people that that says he's fat and then starts eating cake. To me, I just can't help it. I just can't help it. But
My brother's the same
I
way.
had to give at least Treyarch some credit, because if you look at World War, Black Ops, and Black Ops 2, when it comes to the story and the setting of everything, it is pretty different. You had World at War, which was, of course, World War
The
Two.
last flashback one.
Black Ops was Vietnam. Wait, was it Vietnam? I'm trying.
Yeah,
Oh
it
crap!
was.
Yeah, you're
And
right.
then
Well, it's
Black
like
Ops 2 was a little
Cold
bit
War.
both.
Yeah, and then Black Ops 2 was like going back and forth between them. So I give them credit for that at least, and they're the ones who started the whole zombie thing as well. Of course
Yeah,
now they beat it to the ground. But yeah, I give Treyarch at least some credit, but I will have to say though, is just with Call of Duty in general, you're just beating a dead horse. And I mean, when Modern War came out, I mean it was kind of a huge step. It's showing that what we can do, and then everybody and their mom wanted to make a clone of it.
Yeah, I
So now we have to
remember.
hate them for that too.
Yeah, I remember during what Modern Warfare 1 and 2, it was widely believed that like Infinity Ward was the top of the line developer for like back then it was just them and Treyarch, and now Sledgehammer is like the third prong in that equation. But um, yeah, for maybe it's because the heads of the studio left and went to start Respawn. Maybe that's just why Infinity Ward is not good anymore. But even as an outsider who doesn't play Call of Duty, it definitely seems like Treyarch like consistently delivers the best Call of Duties. Like I guess every third year at this point is when they're getting a run at it.
I mean, I think it would be smart for Activision just to drop Sledgehammer and anybody else and say like, "Hey Treyarch, take your time and make a Call of Duty that's actually worth it for once."
Yeah, my
I
brother
think
is
they're
a
gonna
Call of
sell
Duty
anyway.
fan. Oh, sorry.
Oh,
Well,
Sorry.
Cole's right. I mean, no matter what, it's
I
gonna
was,
sell.
yeah, it's gonna sell anyway.
It sells off
I
the
mean, as
name
long as
alone.
it's
So,
decent, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm so far removed from the Call of Duty community now that like the past couple of years, I'm like, I wonder if those are even like
well, your
selling well
son
like
is
they
more
used to.
closer to the Call of Duty community than you are. So,
No, you still got like another. Well, yeah, maybe.
you really thought about it. You're like, oh shit.
Well, I'm just thinking like how young kids actually start playing games like a lot. Like I mean, he touches them a little bit, but he doesn't really like play on
Oh
his
man,
own.
every Call of Duty game I played online, I'll always have at least one child on there, and he's
Yeah.
calling me the worst names imaginable. And I'm just like, gosh, okay, I'm muting you now. I always, like right when I hear the squeaky voice, I mute it right away. It's like I don't need to hear that, even if they're trying to be nice, or try to be team friendly. It's just really hard to hear it. I can't remember what comic said it, but it's like a robot fucking my ear, because it's so squeaky and crackly and all that. And yeah, I mean and I think that's what made Call of Duty so bad too. At the same time, could it be the community as well that had like
But
a toll on it?
I think what it is that when a company makes something extremely successful like Halo or Call of Duty or Mario, then it kind of reaches mainstream, so everyone knows about it. So then not only are there hardcore fans playing it and touching it and knowing about it, it's outliers who are kind of judging it and everything, and then they don't see it as the great thing that the main fan base does, and so then they want to say like it's not as good as these other games I play. And so then because they're so popular, they've just faced so much scrutiny, and then the developers are trying to satisfy their core crowd while also gaining
Trying
new
to
people,
appeal, yeah, to
and
the newer
and
and
so
younger.
they can't change it too much, but then that causes more criticism, and then
Of
if you
course,
change it too
then you're gonna
much,
have
and
all those hipsters like Mark that just bash it down on ah man.
yeah. So I mean, it's like
We get
I
it,
think
Mark. Not
like
everything could be Bioshock. All right, we got it. We got it. There's an overrated game, Bioshock. Oh my gosh, no, I'm
You
kidding.
think so?
No, hell no. Bioshock's such a great series. The only one I didn't really care for was the second one.
Well, yeah, most people say that's because the same people didn't do it.
Yeah,
hmm,
and
Like
and
Ken Levine, well, back when they did BioShock One, it was still 2K Boston,
mm,
and then by the time Infinite came out, they had changed their name to Irrational. But yeah, they had done one and three, and from what I heard, I think they did the Minerva's Den DLC for the second one as well, which is supposed to be great. But they didn't do the core second game. That was a different like 2K umbrella studio. So, but I mean, it's still cool, I guess. But yeah, one and Infinite are just awesome. I think in terms of talking overrated, underrated, or like that Goldilocks just right factor, I think they hit like the Goldilocks
yeah.
factor. They're like just right. I don't you can't really underrate them because they're so universally loved. But I don't think they're overrated. I think they have something to say that's awesome. I think they helped push forward like gaming stories. Like the first one is, speaking of meta games, the first one is so meta. Like besides the would you kindly thing. Oh well, I mean, I guess that's sort of the same point. Like it's a cool plot twist within the story,
Yeah.
but then obviously it's really commenting on like game design as a whole. How we're just always off on these fetch quests and we do what we're told all over and over again without ever really even like second guessing it all. And then they kind of like turn that on its head at the end. Spoiler alert. Sorry, Cole, if you haven't played it still.
nope.
Yeah.
I kind of tried to like scramble what you were saying in my head, so it just confused
Oh,
me.
okay.
You haven't played
The
Bioshock?
script anyways, but
No, one of my roommates in college played it a ton, and so I watched him quite a bit, and I think I saw him fighting one of like the end bosses. And then he explained to me a little bit of the story, and then I've since forgotten it. And I actually, when that sale was going, I almost picked up Bioshock Infinite because I read that the stories aren't similar or aren't
No.
related, I guess.
well,
Um,
No.
they're
No.
they're separate, but DLC for Infinite ties them together in a really awesome way that
Yeah.
like
hmm.
fans like me probably adore.
I,
But
I'll,
but
I'll
you can play them separately, and there's only like one brief moment in Infinite where it kind of alludes to the first one like directly.
hmm
Besides that, you don't have to know that they're really related at all.
Mm. Well, that's one of the series that I've always been impressed by, but it doesn't 100% fit kind of the genre that I like, and so that's the only reason why I haven't picked it up. And so I don't know, maybe it'll convert me to
I'll
like that
just
genre.
say one thing though, especially with Infinite, don't
Mhm.
try to overthink the story. Just let it hit you, and then just
Usually,
accept it.
that's I think that's what scared me away from games.
Just
It's
think of it
like
like an
that.
abusive husband. Just let it hit you and accept what it is, and just you know, because I see so many people try to overanalyze the ending of Infinite, and it's just, I mean, especially with the topic at hand of what that is. I don't want to spoil it for
Mm.
you, Cole, but for what that topic is, you can't overthink it. It's just one of those
Exactly.
things where you just gotta let it happen
Mm.
and enjoy the good story,
Mm-hmm.
great voice acting, music,
Mm.
just everything in general. That
Cool.
Infinite was a great game. I didn't find
Cool.
anything wrong with it.
Now I
I,
regret not picking it up.
there's one important question that I wanted to pose to you guys. We were actually talking about this recently. You guys know, and maybe some people know, I write for trueachievements.com, and
Yes,
we
we
were
get it. Jeez, go.
we were talking about recently the idea of like we started too early, and then we've jumped all over the place. But I want to get back on it. The idea of a game that's, well, guilty pleasure is it's bad. I know it's bad, but I like it anyways. And I guess that's sort of the same thing. Like, does the idea of something being so bad that it's good actually exist for you guys? Because for me, I don't know that it does. Like, I knew we were doing this guilty pleasure thing, and I browsed my entire history of Xbox games and PlayStation games, and there aren't, and unless I don't realize that a game is actually mostly disliked besides me, I feel like I don't there aren't too many games that I think suck, but like them regardless. Basically, like with me, like TV shows, movies, books. Like when people tell me, "Oh, it's so bad, you've got to watch it," I'm like, I don't have time for that if it sucks. They're like, no, that's why it's good because it's bad. I'm like, no, that doesn't compute in my brain. That if it
But
sucks, it sucks.
you're a horror fan. You should know that so well.
Yeah, but I don't. If I see a shitty horror, also known as most horror,
But
eh,
you're the type of person that I know where if you like something, you like it, and then that's all there is to it. You don't have to think about what other people.
oh no, yeah, and I'm not thinking about other. I'm not worried about what they
Oh, but
think,
you're
but
just saying like in general, you just like games that are just well accepted.
no, well, I think there are probably some middle of the pack games that I love a lot more than that middle of the pack does, but I don't think there
Mm.
are many games where like it's universally agreed upon that they're pieces of shit, but I like them anyways, or
Huh.
even like a game like Deadly Premonition where like the appeal is that it's so goofy and broken and bad in a lot of ways, and people love it
Mm.
for that, and
Mm.
It's got like the cult status.
yeah, and I don't know. I've just never.
It's the room of video games,
I've
basically.
Yeah,
I've
basically,
actually
yeah.
I've actually felt that way about Resident Evil for a long time. Just like how like
The new
fake.
ones are so bad that they're good. That's kind of
But
true.
even the old ones though, I thought were pretty bad. Like how
Um,
over dramatic and like how the
I
characters
mean,
Yeah, I was
like
actually gonna
well,
say that's
fake
pretty
and
if
over.
you
plastic.
look at what they had back then, they kind of did good with what they had. Well, I thought the second one was probably the best. That was me personally. I think that's when they actually
Mm.
had voice acting down more, because on the first one, I mean, it's the first game, and they're doing a whole new concept and idea with a lot of things. So I guess you can kind of expect them to make mistakes, and then they improved on it on the second one. And then by the time with the third and fourth and everything like that, they realized that their core audience just wanted dumb action instead of horror. Well, not their core, but they realized that they were selling more if they did it like that. And then by the end, you have Chris punching boulders. So I know we referenced that in another one episode too, and that was just
Yeah.
absolutely ridiculous. And those games were just, I wanted to like them. Even though they
Mm.
were bad, and I knew it would have been a guilty pleasure. I wanted to like them, and I couldn't. They
Well,
were
yeah,
just
and
that bad.
that was the same with me. Yeah, like I never finished any of the 1, 2 Code Veronica or anything. So I get it halfway through the story, and I'm just like, I don't understand where this plot's going. It doesn't make sense. Like I enjoy running from zombies, I enjoy killing the zombies, but this weird over the top like Japanese mixed with Western culture
Yeah.
storyline is just so strange, and
Um.
I've always been confused that like no one's ever ripped it apart in the reviews as much as I feel like it probably
Yeah.
deserves.
And
But
six itself, like it had some really good things about it, but it also had equally terrible things about it. And they brought in like two annoying characters. And I was just like, gosh, what the heck are you guys doing? I mean, do you have like two separate teams and they're like throwing ideas at each other, and they're like, you know what, you write this half of the game and I'm gonna write this half of the game. We're gonna see which people like, and it's like, no, that's not how you should be doing
Yeah,
this.
It's so dysfunctional.
It was very I think what they were trying to do was like, hey, there's some people who like the horror aspect of it. Well, you guys write Leon's part, we'll write Chris Bolding punching guy's part, and then we'll just have this room full of monkeys write this other part. And it's just like, oh, come on, guys. Just stick to what you're good at. I mean,
And the
you can
funniest
what, go ahead.
the funniest thing about Capcom in those games is that I can't tell you how many times I've read an article like from some video game news outlet quoting some higher up at Capcom saying, "Oh, we're gonna get back to the horror roots. We're gonna answer fans' pleas for more horror, and we want to get back to how the
Lies.
games used to be." Like for the past it feels like 10 years that they've been saying that, and they
Mm.
still haven't done it yet. I mean, Revelations
It's just a
touched on it a little
recording.
bit.
If somebody calls them and they put it over the phone, and it's just a random recording,
Yeah.
and then the reporter just smiles and goes, "Oh, okay," and then that's it.
But yeah, I feel like it's been like a decade, but
Yeah, and it kind of sucks when you see these companies or developers or even publishers take a franchise and just ruin it. It almost feels like they're ruining it on purpose because they know they'll get more money off. Well, that's probably the reason why they're doing it. I mean, look at what Konami did with Silent Hill. They had a group of people that were actually going to do something good with it, and then they pulled it out and said, "No, we're going to turn it into a mobile game."
well, I think their case is special because for them, I think they jumped the gun on committing to Silent Hills with Kojima and Del Toro before they realized that, oh, actually, you know what, never mind, because we're transitioning into mobile and to slot machines, whatever the hell that was. And they're like, actually, we want to just get out of the console gaming market entirely. And then at that point, it was like, well, but you have Metal Gear coming out, and then Silent Hills is supposed to come out after that. And they're like, yeah, we'll see about that. And so that was kind of a special case that I don't think they wanted that stuff to die the way it did because it was so awkward for them too. I'm sure. Not that I'm
I
apologetic
don't,
towards them.
I don't know, man.
Taking
Like when you look at some of their events and the way they do things, it's just you're wondering like if they just get drunk and then just walk on stage and go, "Okay, let's see what happens," and then that's what it almost feels like.
I want to go watch them now.
'Cause especially, no. Look at a lot of their E3 events. Like when you're talking about it being awkward for them, they're just awkward in general.
You don't think it might be a difference of culture? Not to get way off topic now, but
Well,
because I saw
a little bit. I can kind of agree with that too.
because I saw a couple bands last night, and one of the bands that opened is this post-hardcore Japanese band called Envy.
Post-hardcore Japanese. Wow, that's kind of. I almost want to listen to that now.
Yeah, they had cool stage presence, but like even that stage presence, like it had a different flavor to it. Not that I licked any of them, but
Whoa,
like it.
whoa,
But no, but really, it like
phrasing.
just like the way they presented themselves on stage, it was impressive, but it was different. Like even I don't know if they were wearing masks and I couldn't see that they were Japanese, I would still
No, they're
get the
Japanese.
feeling that they weren't from what?
You just still know that they're Japanese.
Well, I would still know that they weren't from like the Western world, maybe. Like they just kind of seemed different. Like I
Yeah.
don't know, just them on stage. It just looked different. They moved different. They behaved differently. I mean, of course, then at the end they really give it away when they're bowing. But but that's not what I meant. I
Yeah,
didn't.
no, I totally get what you mean, and you can see that with games just like Metal Gear. There's certain things that they would do in the game, and I'm like, wow, man,
Yeah, like when
this
you
is
can-
very pervy, and
Yeah, when the horse like the cars can wipe out on horse crap, like literally, like
oh yeah,
they
that's
Yeah,
right.
crash
that
after they
video.
drive over horse shit. Like that wouldn't be in like Fallout, like that wouldn't be in a Western developed game. That's just a
Which, by the
I
way, is
don't
a
know.
great game, Fallout 4. Yeah,
Yeah, I have to wait till Santa Claus brings it for me, even though I know it's on the other side of this wall I'm staring at right now.
that sucks. That actually really sucks.
Tomb Raider's on the other side, right next to it too. But
Nah.
I have to wait till Santa brings them.
Okay, up to our finale that we always do with the podcast. Let's talk about our trope.
Yeah, it's kind of a good transition because Tomb Raider is one of the well, not companies, one of the games that recently used this trope. It's the Bag of Spilling. It's called. It should be familiar. I'll read from it in a moment, but in summary, it's basically a sequel where everything you earned in the first game you start with in the second game, but then for some reason you lose it all through some narrative like plot moment, and it's
Fall down a hole, get captured.
yeah, it feels pretty cheap. Especially now, like I feel like we're past the point where we need to utilize this trope. Like I know one of the reasons we thought that these tropes would be fun is because we can kind of talk about like, oh, you know what, this one deserves to be like utilized in games, and I kind of I see the point of this one, or we can be for or against them. This one,
But you don't see it in this one.
this one feels cheap. Like Batman, the recent Batman games did it where actually it was so they kind of did it both ways because you would regain some things later in later games, but also they did the prequel.
I was
Um,
just gonna bring that up because the prequel had better weapons
yeah, they did
than,
the prequel
than the
where you
originals.
start with a lot of the stuff that you earned like at the end of Arkham's like throughout into to the end of Arkham City, which
It's especially when Alfred goes, I have a new design and blah blah blah, and then you're like, wait a minute, but how does he have it in this one then? In
yeah,
Blackgate.
it's not totally nonsensical because like we can like in our heads just imagine okay, he had these things when he was young, he lost them at some point, got them back throughout Asylum and in City, the first two games in the series, but chronologically Origins comes first, and I don't know, it's just kind of goofy, it's
Yeah.
this is one of those like obvious tropes that really kind of like breaks the story down, and kind of reminds you that this is just a game, and like you wouldn't see this sort of thing so often in television or in film. It's just
Oh yeah.
and Tomb Raider did it recently too. I guess I haven't played the new one yet, but right at the beginning, who knows? She probably like I think there's like a plane crash or a boat crash or something. So she loses everything that you spent 15 hours earning in the first game in 2012 when that one came out, and it'll just be all gone in the first cutscene. It feels really cheap, At least
What other games
Mm.
can we think of that have done
My
that
well,
before?
my favorite that I was thinking of is Half-Life and Half-Life 2. How in both of them you start out with your first weapon finding that crowbar and you hear that noise. It's like drum, like here I am equipped with my crowbar again, the red crowbar,
Yeah. Yeah, you're
and
right.
you're in like two completely different areas. But in a way, it's like they knew what they were doing, and they're like, let's kind of make fun of the fact that the crowbar is so like it's such a icon of Half-Life.
Yeah, you're right.
Um,
Crowbar and boxes.
yeah, smashing through those boxes. But then also too, like in that game and a lot of first-person shooters of that genre, it really frustrated me how, as the levels progressed, you'd face bigger enemies and then they'd give you bigger weapons, and it's like a balancing thing, but you could just always expect that. Like you never, it would have been great if like every once in a while in those games back then they'd throw like a rocket launcher at you really early on rather than waiting till you need it to face the boss or whatever.
Yeah, and well, certain games, especially the older games, you had to find it as a secret. But gosh, what was I just had a game in my head and I lost it. That
well, I know we
sucks.
said off the air, God of War does it as well.
Yeah, I got award that, and that's kind of weird, too, because to me, you think that if you're gonna do a sequel, it's like, hey, why don't we come up with a whole bunch of new weapons and new ideas of doing things, and then they kick that guy out of the office and say, get out! Don't you ever think of a new idea like that again? Okay, we're just gonna do all the older weapons and modify them just a little bit. That way, we really don't have to think of anything new. Because I've noticed that a lot with sequels is that, I mean, Assassin's Creed, sort of at least for a little bit start doing new things, like especially when you had the guns and everything like that. But that was the same thing too. You would start off with just a single blade pretty
Oh
much, and then
yes,
you
yeah, they're
slowly
big up
progress.
there.
One thing that I thought was weird is actually in the Zelda series, because I don't know if you guys know about this. That series has one of the most messed up timelines ever, because technically, from what I remember, With each new game, you're actually it's supposed to be a prequel, right, Cole?
Well, it's kind of like the way they tell the story is Link, or I mean, you can even give it your own name in the story, which I find strange because you can name it,
Link from the past, yeah,
Cole, you can name it whatever,
yeah,
And when they tell a story, you're a hero in time, is what they call it, and
yeah. It's
he
almost like it's like maybe like an alternate reality,
kind of
maybe.
yeah, it's almost like the universe has its own ingredients, and Link, hero in time is one ingredient, and he's the counter of the evil, which is like Ganon or Ganondorf, and then there's Zelda, who's also so there's like the Triforce, there's the courage, wisdom, and power, and so they each one, yeah, is this. It's almost each one is a completely different story, not relating to the others.
Mm.
But they make connections here and there to each other, and then some of them are actual sequels, like Wind Waker was then followed by Phantom Hourglass, which was followed by Spirit Tracks,
Yeah. Well, I mean,
and
because
things like that.
I mean, I know that when they made um the original and then even the second one, they probably had no idea that they were going to make like 10 more
Yeah.
because they killed off Ganon right off the bat. And they're like, oh crap, well, what are we gonna do for the second one? And of course, what do they think of? It's Ganon's shadow.
And that's actually like when I went and bought. I think it must have been Twilight Princess when the Wii came out,
That was a good
and
game.
I sold it within like the first week of playing because I was like, what? I was like, it has the same enemies, like the snapper plant thing that I had played in Ocarina of Time and Wind Waker, and I just was upset about that. I was like, why are they giving me the same things to do? And I
Well,
was just so frustrated.
and that kind of sucks that they don't try anything. It just feels like maybe developers are just either scared or maybe it's the publishers that are scared about trying
Well,
anything new, and that's why you
like
have to lose your weapons at the beginning.
mhm.
Like, hey,
The
we
way
can't
I
we can't
always
just
look at
start
it,
them off with what they have.
just in general, in this, according to this subject and to anything else that you could relate this to, it's like for me, the developers are the artists and the publishers are the businessmen.
Well,
Like
yeah,
there might be some passionate people at EA and Activision. And in fact, I shouldn't even say might. Of course there are. They're huge corporations. Of course there are, and there are people that care about like the artistic merits of the products they're putting out into the world. But whenever you have a question of like who's influencing this game in a certain way, especially when it comes to like money making decisions, it's got to be 10 out of 10 times it's the publisher. Like
yeah.
I don't know if that applies to I don't know. So I guess sometimes it could apply to Bag of Spilling, this trope we're speaking of, because I don't know. Does it?
Well, I think like I would definitely argue like it's interesting when you bring it to light the idea of like, oh, I'm gonna play another Batman game. I can assume I'm gonna start from scratch. But I think it goes to the like rewarding factor of playing video games and like giving us our proper amounts of
Yeah.
dopamine by upgrading and stuff. And so if we don't start from the bottom, then it's not as gratifying.
Yeah, because like a famous linguist once said, we started from the bottom and now we're here.
Wait.
Oh, that the Canadian linguist,
Oh yeah, is that
Degrassi forever.
yeah. After
You
he
know what we're talking
survived
about,
that
Tony?
fatal shoot.
I have no idea what you guys are talking about. So
We're quoting Drake. Is it Drake?
Yeah, Drake.
yeah, I still don't. Oh, okay, yeah. Now I know what
Started
it
from the
is.
bottom. Now we.
I'm sorry.
Oh my
I'm a
goodness.
30-year-old white man, so yeah,
Sorry about that.
it's okay. No, it's all right.
Yeah, I mean, I think like if we go back to Zelda a little bit, like again, like when I played Twilight Princess, I was frustrated by it. But now I kind of see what they're doing with it. They're grabbing the attention and maintaining their massive following by including elements that are similar, but then starting your character new with the new story each time, and you get to do the basic thing that you did at the very first one. Acquire your sword, acquire your shield, and like go on your journey, and it's just fun. Like you pick up a Zelda game, and that's what you're gonna do. It's not going to be a heavy RPG game, but you're going to get to explore and all that. And I'm
Yeah,
looking forward to the
We
next one. They said it's going to come out in 2016 on Friday, so hopefully Fingers
So didn't
crossed.
they also just say Twilight Princess is coming to Wii U?
Yep, yeah, they're doing an HD remake of Twilight Princess. So maybe now I'll actually give it a proper playthrough.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And it's funny. I think we have a strange habit of like sort of almost accidentally brainstorming a future episode idea like during these trope segments. But I just thought of one since
That's great.
I think we have mentioned it before though, but off the air is maybe one day you guys could team up and explain to me what the deal is with this Zelda series because I've barely played it. I feel so out of the loop. I've played a little of Ocarina and a little of Majora's Mask,
Hmm.
and that's literally it. And I haven't beaten either. And I don't know. I just we should do an episode where we take a game that we're familiar with and preferably even passionate about, and we explain maybe why it's awesome to the
Yeah.
others who might be ignorant of that fact. Because like I think I could talk up Alan Wake to you guys because that seems like a game that you guys maybe have either of you played it,
No.
Tony?
Wait, which game again?
Alan Wake?
Yeah, yeah. I thought you said something completely different, so I was sitting here thinking about it. I don't know why. Or anyways, yeah, yeah. I played Alan Wake and I definitely I enjoyed it. I didn't play the
The
I guess you
DLC.
call it a sequel.
Oh, the little like oh, it was just an arcade like spin-off type of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. I
So,
mean, I know it wasn't really technically a sequel, but it was kind of
uh,
continuing on with the story.
but yeah, just maybe this is better for off the air, but just I would like to learn about Zelda by people who know what the hell they're talking about. So maybe you guys could teach me someday, because
Well,
I know.
I mean, isn't the fun thing about learning something new is to just play it and get a grasp from it that way?
yeah, don't you got like
Yeah, I can,
300 hours,
but
Mark?
I have a 3DS, so I can get a couple that way, and I have a Wii, so I can get Twilight Princess and maybe one other, I think.
Oh, yeah,
But
on the Wii you
those are
could
still
get.
all $40 a piece, and I don't usually spend $40 on any game for the 3DS because I usually don't play it.
Hmm,
But yeah, in a future episode, maybe
yeah,
just get me all learned about Zelda.
Learned it. Yeah.
like in a, in a nutshell, it's
I think we should do that where one of us where who hasn't tried a popular series or doesn't like a series, the other two try to convince them, kind of thing.
Yeah, or it
Um,
could be like how we're supposed to convince Cole to join the present day in gaming consoles with.
Present day. Technically, I still haven't joined. I mean, I was using my sister's PS4.
Oh
I
shit.
still like I was looking at the PS4 and Xbox One
Just get a
top
PS4. Just
games.
get a PS4. It has more games and more people to
I
play with.
think Horizon Zero Dawn would push me that way. But right now, there's no reason for me to get either of them. I like Halo 5. That's another one that I that the multiplayer in
Oh,
that game looks pretty great.
sorry, I don't know if you guys can hear that, but my son's calling me, and
Yeah, we're pretty much done with the trope too.
yeah,
This was
so
interesting. It was us trying to get back to the whole. I mean, I think we had like a really good thing going, and then with me moving and having to push everything back, I'm glad we kind of got together and did this again to get our feet wet and move forward again. That was good though. I did I did enjoy the topics and the trope, of course, too. I completely forgot about that just that idea of losing all your stuff, you know.
Mm.
But yeah, that's it for this episode,
oh,
everybody.
okay, so we are still recording. Okay,
Yep.
I was like,
Yes.
wait, what?
Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
4 episodes down.
Yeah, 4 episodes down, many more to go. Be sure to check us out on iTunes, SoundCloud. We got a YouTube channel going
Stitcher,
too.
YouTube. We got several subscribers on YouTube this week.
Yeah,
I kept getting the emails for it. I was like, "Ooh, Tony must be pimping us out to somebody."
yeah, I know.
Sweet.
I go into every corner. Say, hey, you should check us out after you're done. Anyways,
Well, should we plug Doug because he plugs us, and that it's kind
that's
of
true. Yeah, that's true too. Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure besides most of the people that are watching this know who Nukem Dukem is. Nukem Dukem is a YouTube channel with a good friend of mine, Doug, who is a I
who
guess
Tony has mysteriously alluded to, like the goddamn Wizard of Oz, several
yeah.
times in this episode
Yeah. Well,
with
yeah,
no
yeah, that's true.
description.
I mean, well, he's pretty popular. I mean, he almost has 500,000 people following him. I guess you can call him a professional gamer. I'm not too a walkthrougher. I mean, that's what he does. He plays games on YouTube and Twitch. He gives out free stuff. To check him out, the Nukem Dukem channel. Yeah, thanks for listening. There you go, Mark. Thank you for listening to our podcast. And see you later.
Bye.
See you next week.